All right, everybody, really awesome day planned for today. We have our very good friend Dustin Wainscott here. He's been a good friend of CME. We've known Dustin for a long time, all the way back to Memphis days. Dustin, you're Dustin. What do you do here, Dustin?
I run our custom order business, made to measure. So whether it's an acoustic or an electric, any custom order that we do, I run a crew that manages that. So, you know, we're going to see all that in action out here, the variation, all the different specs coming together in builds. But yeah, I'm the director of the Made to Measure program.
Director of Made to Measure program, good friend of ours, going to take us through the Gibson Custom Shop here in Nashville. It's going to be a lot of fun. Here we go.
All right, well, CME, welcome to Gibson Custom. I'm going to walk you through our production process here. First order of business is going to be bringing in all of our wood for the day. So if you look around here, you're going to see obviously mahogany, maple, carina is peppered in there over here on the left. Everything comes in each day from our wood warehouse, and from there it goes on various paths. So obviously body line is going to head this way, and then you see our fingerboards over here to your right, and neck stock, it's all going to go down neckline. You know, a couple of things that just kind of to point out about Custom Shop in particular. All of our mahogany, all of our maple, all of our ebony, all of our rosewood, those are materials that you'll see, you know, at other plants, Gibson USA, Montana, Epiphone even. But we have a very particular grading and sort for all of those materials. One of our biggest challenges is getting, for instance, mahogany. We'll make a one-piece body out of all of our Les Pauls. You know, on some of the bigger things, like these are 1275 billets. They're two-piece, but you can see how huge they are. So getting material that is not only of the grading standard, weight, you know, grain pattern, no knots, all of that sort of thing. Getting all of that, but also the dimension that we need is a huge challenge for us. That's kind of the battle that our wood buyers are always chasing, is they can find really nice mahogany, but getting it in a big enough dimension to run a one-piece body, they put a lot of work into that. If you look over at the backs over there, they're all weight. They have weights on the back of them, so those are all like 9.5 pounds, 9.6. We'll weigh everything as well before we determine what it's going to be. But moving over to fingerboard line, same is true for something like ebony. We have a grading standard. This is raw ebony, obviously. You can see how beautiful, dark, and rich that is. We have a quality standard to ensure that that's the you know, the color that we're looking for on ebony. So it'll come in raw piece of wood, and as we work through the process over here, we'll see how we taper this, radius it, fret slot it, inlay it, build out a fingerboard, and then in conjunction we're also making the neck from a piece of neck stock here, 17 degree, 14 degree, whatever it is, and then sort of a little bit of a heel and enough material here to give us our tenon and heel shape and all of that. But basically just a big chunk of mahogany that's been pre-processed into a rough neck stock shape. We'll start building this thing out into a neck while we're working on the fingerboard as well. The first thing that we want to do with a piece of that neck stock that I showed you is put our wing blocks on. This is going to give us our, obviously, you know, that Gibson headstock shape. You know, the reason we don't just machine a full billet is it would be a ton of material waste. So, you know, we'll do the wing blocks on here. Back here is where we'll sort our wing blocks. So you can see they're all sort of sorted by gradients of color. Obviously, if it's something like a natural back, like a gold top or something like that, that matching that color to the neck stock's really important. Maybe on something like a Les Paul Custom that's getting painted black, we'll be a little less stringent on matching the wing block color. But we'll sort it, match it to the stock, and then back here, you can see we're gluing all of our wing blocks onto the neck stock in this old fixture here. Just a giant wheel with clamps. you can load the neck stock in there. You can see how they kind of can rotate it around to fill each lane. And you know, coming out of here, we'll have the piece that I showed you, the neck stock with wing blocks on it.
How old is that machine?
You know, to be honest with you, I don't know. What I do know is that a lot of the equipment that came from Kalamazoo is sort of this olive drab green.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. So I'll point out stuff that I know how old it is. I know this came from Kalamazoo, but I couldn't tell you like what year specifically.
It's cool though.
Yeah, it's super cool. And it's kind of, you know, we'll get into this 5-axis CNC when we get to the body process. But it's one of my favorite things about, you know, kind of our whole process is we've got really old machines or fixtures or equipment from Kalamazoo working next to like a state-of-the-art 5-axis machine, and everything tying those things together are people and processes in between. So I absolutely love that. I just wish we could paint everything olive drab like they did back in Kalamazoo. The other thing that we're working on, we've got the neck being processed with wing blocks and all of that. We've got the fingerboard, which we'll see here in a second. But in the meantime, we're also doing our head veneers here in this room. So what's going on in here is you can see all the Hollywood has been laser cut into whatever shape and whatever historic layout in terms of Gibson logo. So we'll cut the veneer in there, and then we'll also inlay it with mother of pearl or whatever material we're using on that specific head veneer. And you know, that is one thing that is also unique to Custom Shop. We're gonna ultimately just paint over these head veneers. They get painted black, but so most people don't even know that there's a piece of Hollywood under there. Yeah. But it's historically accurate to most of our models, and you know, that's really what we're going for here. We're trying to, you know, we call all of our guitars that have a year in front of them a reissue, right? That's, you know, it's a 1959 Les Paul reissue, but I think if you ask almost anybody in here, definitely anybody in product development, really what we're going for is a replica, you know? So that means every detail that we can replicate from the original, we're gonna replicate it, regardless of whether we're gonna paint it black or whatever. We wanna do that. So
I got you.
You'll see on body line too, just like how we carve a body, how you know, all of our bodies have different carves for Les Pauls depending on what era, the heel shapes, you know, all of those things. We're scanning originals and replicating all of that, and it's really important that we use the original equipment, use the original processes, original materials, and it's nerdy stuff, but it's a lot of fun.
Oh, it's important.
Continuing through with the fingerboard line, right? We had the raw pieces of ebony, the raw pieces of rosewood. What we've started doing over here is we're inlaying. Looks like a Les Paul, you know, obviously. So we've cut our inlay pattern. We're gluing in our inlays. It's actually wet. I got glue on me. And then the next step will be cutting the radius and tapering this board and fret slotting it. So all of that will happen here. And then we're gonna come over here and finish out the fingerboard. But obviously putting the inlays in is done by hand, fretting it, binding it, side dots, all of that's done by hand. Really where we're using machining is in areas where it's really critical that there's consistency, the radius, the taper, this whole area. So if you kind of step back here, we're binding fingerboards. We've already put our fret wire on these, it looks like, but pretty straightforward, the fret wire process. I mean, we hammer it in and then we fret press it on this pretty straightforward fret press. Yep. The joiner here will cut our channels for our binding in the side of the board. And then on this drill press that's back here behind, you can see all of these boards here. They've been fretted, inlaid, radius tapered. The one thing that's missing on this board are side dots. So we'll just load it into this fixture here and just by hand drill all of our side dots into the side of the board and hammer that material in there, face it off.
That is, you know what? All the years coming here, I didn't realize that was happening.
That's actually material that we've hammered into we've drove through the binding into the actually ebony fingerboard inside of there. So drill it, drill press it all the way down, hammer it in, then of course they sand it off, clean it up, flush it up. This is essentially a fingerboard assembly that is complete. It's been through the fingerboard process. You can see it's super crude, you know, it's got glue. Obviously we're not just gonna be finished with the fingerboard at this stage, but it's ready to go on a neck. So we'll go ahead and get it on a neck. We'll look over here at the neck kind of getting finished up on the machining side. Yep. Get the fingerboard on there, and then, you know, from there everything is hand done on the whole neck. It's all hand rolled, all hand shaped on the headstock and all of that. But we've got a fingerboard that's good to go. You know, one last thing I'll just call out. I mean, this is raw rosewood, right? It's pretty dark, really beautiful, but this has never been conditioned or anything like that. So our grading standard for raw material is a certain spec, and then obviously it should look a certain way once we condition it in final assembly. Big part of custom shop is the material, you know. Very high standards for all of it, but it's sort of like baking a cake. There's a way to make a Les Paul or an SG, but the ingredients are important too, and that's, you know, we're using the best ingredients that we can possibly get. Necks are actually coming off of the machine. He is going to load them into this crazy looking contraption. We're gonna cut our cavity for the truss rod on the headstock. So he loads it in there, routes out the cavity for the truss rod.
Oh, wow.
But on the CNC itself, we'll cut the channel for the truss rod in the neck stock. We'll do a pretty crude profile and headstock shape on this machine. And you know, one of the big challenges for us is the amount of variation on all of our guitars. Like, for example, a Les Paul, right? We have 54, 56, 57, 58. They all have different specs, different neck profiles. And so the amount of variation that we have to deal with, you've got to change over this machine to run whatever neck profile or whatever program you're running. And so we may have to change this thing over to run 2 or 3 necks, and then flip it over to run, you know, a 54 neck or whatever. Yeah. A lot of changeover between the machines. This thing came from Memphis, so you know the history of Memphis.
Memphis, baby.
Yeah. She lives on.
She lives on.
This is what would actually come off the machine after multiple passes. So, you know, first pass is obviously the top, cutting that truss rod channel I talked about in there. Yeah. We also have these locator pins that align with locator pins that we put in the fingerboard. It's really important that we get the fingerboard in the exact position on every neck, because we're going to run everything off the nut, you know, in terms of alignment. Chunky boy right here is the 58 baseball bat type of neck. You can tell it gave us a C shape, gave us the proper heel. Kind of gave us a Gibson headstock. You can kind of see the silhouette of the mustache there. Yep. A lot of tooling marks. You know, we're gonna have to also cut our heel in here. Generally, we got a Gibson-esque headstock here. The rest of this, we're gonna be finishing up by hand. We're gonna start putting our fingerboard and our head veneer on. We'll see that next. But you can see all of our different, you know, types. We got greeny necks, we got 355s, a huge amount of variation in necks and bodies and carves and all of that throughout. Over here is where we would install the truss rod itself. So before sending that neck in to get the fingerboard, we're gonna put a neck in here, drop our truss rod in. We'll use those maple splines up there in the shelf to put over the truss rod. We'll face it off, but
you see one of those truss rods?
Yeah, straightforward. It's got the brass anchor which sits in the neck. This is a historic, so it has no sleeve on it. This is your anchor here, obviously your nut. So we would drop that into the neck, and then we cut these maple splines that we'll seat it down in there, and then face that off. Coming in over here, talked about the mustache, the tooling, but we have dropped our truss rod in here. So we've got the truss rod anchored, we got the maple spline in there, and then we've also run a program to cut our heel shape out. We'll cut all the excess off there, but we're gonna go ahead and drop a fingerboard on this thing. And that's what's going on in this whole area. So back here you'll see these like witch's brew vats, some animal hide glue. You'll see those throughout the shop, but we'll glue it up, and then these pneumatic fixture, and it's just holding consistent pressure across the whole fingerboard. It's got these nice rubber sort of gaskets on there so we don't put any indents in the neck. The thing we want to do is put the head veneer on. As we come over here, you can see we've glued our fingerboard on. So it's glued on. You can see the glue oozing out a little bit. Got like a big overhang kind of on the neck. Pretty crude, but we want to go ahead and put our head veneer on. So, you know, we've got all of our holly veneers that we've inlaid. We've got our custom holly veneers, something like a fiber. This is what we would use on like a modern guitar. We don't use them very often. Primarily just using all Hollywood. Same process though. This is a 68, probably not the right veneer, but either way, you kind of get the idea. It's definitely not the right veneer, but we would just glue that on, put it in, clamp it, have a head veneer on our neck stock. One neck that's worth talking about because it's an entire guitar. You know, the Firebird, I'm not sure if this is a 1, 5, 7, what it is. Giant piece of mahogany, very long, multiple pieces, walnut strips in there. So we got to glue up the neck stock, then we machine it down to this. But, you know, this is a model that is really embodies kind of what custom shop is, right? You know, classic Gibson, they sort of have an automotive designer drop this crazy looking guitar in the late 50s, early 60s. And heck yeah, we'll make that. And we quickly realized, you know, man, this thing is a nightmare to make. The neck through design, gluing on the body wings, the multi-piece. So it gets discontinued in that format, and the Firebird lives on, but it's a set neck, you know, different design. To really make it more manufacturing friendly.
Yeah.
And you know, the era that everybody's sort of drawn to is that early era of the neck through design, multi-piece neck. But this is the one guitar that when we get over to neck fit, it's not neck fit, it's body fit, you know, which is a difficult process, but super cool guitar, very difficult guitar to make. So always really constrained.
So cool.
It's a guitar I love, man. And then as we work our way down through here, kind of the last step of like the manufacturing process of the neck, we're gonna install a nut, pretty straightforward, you know, bone nut, corian, nylon, whatever it is, Floyd Rose. Over here, you can see this sort of fixture with all this sawdust. This saw is gonna basically allow us to clean up the headstock a little bit, to take some of the material and refine that shape before we go to hand rolling and hand shaping. Yeah. But coming out of here, we have a neck assembly. Fingerboard, head veneer, it's like a manufactured neck.
Yeah. A lot of work, and we're just on the neck.
Yeah, and we're probably like a week to here for the neck.
One week in this
Yeah,
spot.
I mean, to get from where we started, where we were looking at a fingerboard, you know, it's taken us about a week to get here. But yeah, all we've got is a neck right now, and it's not even finished. So we'll go hand roll that. As we come into where we're really, from here, we're hand work out on the neck. So, Jackie is, you know, hand rolling a neck there. Obviously, lot of things she's trying to accomplish. She's trying to get the shape of the neck right. She's trying to get the dimension in terms of thickness and all of that. She's putting a little roll in the edges of the fingerboard there, as you can see. Have a nice feel, rounded over C shape. But among many other things that they will work on is, again, cleaning up this headstock. So you can see how crisp this is now. We've got the mustache. Yeah. I'm putting it up against your mustache. Got the mustache shape in there.
Pretty nice.
The holly veneer is all cleaned up. That tooling that we saw on the back has been removed. Oh, yeah. Our heel shape is beautiful. Our heel is, our tenon is in there. Got a nice feel to it. You know, as they're going through, really, they don't have a lot of tools. I mean, they basically have, obviously, sanding tools, but these sort of throwing star looking things are sort of neck profile gauges, so they'll use those to ensure that they've got dimension up the neck and shape. And
now these profiles here, these jigs, I guess you would call them, these are all based on actual bursts and guitars that you guys have scanned. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, almost all. It depends on what. I mean, we've made these for guitars that we haven't made. Like, I'm just looking. I see a guitar from 2012 up there, a profile.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we hang on to those things, and
are there like old collector's choice?
Yeah, yeah. There's, I mean, almost everything that you can think of. There's some of my favorite artist models we've ever done, collector's choice stuff.
I've always thought that was so cool, how they'll use those jigs and kind of put it up as a guide to how to create that, like Bonamassa 2012 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
you know?
by hand they'll roll it in, they'll use those to make sure they're getting there, and calipers as well.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, hand rolled through here, and you know, coming out of here we'll be ready to neck fit a neck, so we'll have a completed neck. But that does not mean that we are done touching that, you know, shaping that by hand. We'll do more in color prep. We'll do more in final assembly. We'll do more in Murphy Lab if it calls for it. If it's like really heavy aged, they'll over accentuate the binding roll and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite things about Murphy Lab, is that like the feel of the neck, you know.
The Murphy stuff, especially like I've said it, but like the heavy aged Murphy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I've talked to Tom about it. But
Yeah.
like there's something about those guitars, specifically those heavy aged. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. For me, it's like totally the feel of the guitar. The you know, people always have the debate about like aging guitars. Is it like, you know, something someone's doing wrong or not or whatever? But you know, I appreciate the replication, particular, or the aging in replication. Like when we're doing an artist model, like the way that they replicate that aging is amazing.
Like Greenie.
Yeah, Greenie. I mean, so many of them. Some of the ones that are coming down the pipeline are, I mean, it's unbelievable to see those in a rack completed. And you can like see all of the cigarette burn here, the you know, mic stand there, whatever, and it's all over the guitar in the same way.
Totally.
But to me, it's like, man, the way they feel is just amazing. The way the neck feels, the way they sound. We'll see some more of that as we work through. So, cool. Neck is essentially ready for neck fit coming out of here, and we'll go into the body stuff.
Cool. Having fun, buddy?
Yeah, I love talking about it. So back here, basically what we're gonna do here is glue tops to backs. You know, so you can see these backs right here. We've got historic backs with a long channel, controlled cavity channel. We've got something modern with like a 9-hole cut in it. Obviously you got to put that stuff into the back before you glue a top over it. So we'll process the back to that point. And then like all of these are probably matched tops and backs for made to measure or something like that, a dealer or CME run where, you know, David picks the top. Obviously we got to get that top on a specific back, so they'll match all that. But glue it up and put it in that giant green machine back there, or press I should say. And that really all we're doing there is gluing it up. As we work our way around, this is kind of one of my, like, I always tell people, like, before I started working at Gibson, you know, years and years ago, like my idea of what it looked like for Gibson to make a guitar was kind of this. And so coming out of the press, you know, we got this big billet, this big mahogany billet with a maple top or whatever. And back here you can see all of these plexi shapes that are cut out, you know, for various shapes. So they'll trace that onto that billet. And then on this old school, again, you see the olive drab, this Kalamazoo bandsaw, they'll cut out that shape by hand. So I always love seeing, you know, you can see all of the material here of various shapes. But seeing somebody by hand, like bandsaw out a Les Paul shape, you know, like that's cool. Like, okay, that's guitar making, right?
Dude, awesome.
But we did a video, I think Matt Kaler found it in our archive, and it was like factory footage from the 1960s, and really cool video, especially coming from like the manufacturing side for me, like seeing what they're doing back then. And there was so much of it that was exactly the same, including this. You know, you see a guy cutting out a body on this bandsaw in that video in the 60s, and it was super like rewarding to see that. But
Yeah, it's so cool.
it was kind of interesting too. Like the guy's like, you know, he's like wearing like penny loafers. He's like dressed up and he's like working on a bandsaw.
Yeah, tuxedo on.
Yeah, he's got like an apron on, but he looks like he's going to church after work.
Yeah,
you know,
that's cool.
so from there we've got like the rough body shape cut out, and we'll just go ahead and start machining it. Right here, what we've got going on is we've already run a program on the left side there for the back to cut out the control cavity. You can also see like the shape of the body is still sort of straight off the bandsaw. There will be a program that will clean up around the shape of the Les Paul as well. And then coming over, we'll flip over the top. And right now what they're doing is they're rabbiting a channel for the binding. But you can see they've done a first carve on the top as well. So that sort of like topographical map looking cut on the top, that's the first carve. It gives you the carved shape. And we've got our neck pocket in there. And so next step for this body is we're actually going to go ahead and bind it. And then we'll do a second carve to refine the contour on the top. And then we'll slack belt sand it by hand. But that's sort of the CNC process in a nutshell. We'll do the back, cut everything we need on the back.
Yeah.
We'll do the silhouette of the body to clean up around the shape of the guitar.
Yeah.
And then we'll do two processes in the case of a Les Paul to clean up the top. You know, do the neck pocket, the contour, the binding channel. But that's really like all of the CNC. And then over here, you know, he's cutting like historic Les Paul customs, probably one piece of mahogany, no maple top, but same process really. Just cut all the material on the back, and now he's doing a carve on the top. Here and I see it.
Yeah.
Here's kind of the beginning of a Firebird, right? So this is Firebird neck stock. It's been glued, obviously. Multi-piece neck has been glued, and then they use this giant hockey stick template to cut out the neck stock into a shape as well.
I gotta see this.
Yeah, I think I got it upside down, but yeah, it's yeah.
This is the fire, how it starts, pretty much.
Yeah, so you can see where they traced out the neck shape, or the neck stock shape, where they'll cut it down. Wow. But that's where it started before we saw it back there as sort of a neck. Sounds horrible. Back on the other side of that curtain is our slack belt sander, where we'll clean up the body by hand on slack belt.
Yeah.
But, you know, binding, another thing that is like, it's such a part of Gibson's identity. Binding goes back to our early history, and it's such a big part of the process. So you'll see this at USA, at Custom Shop, Montana, even Epiphone. Process is pretty much universal everywhere in terms of what it looks like. It's dirty, it's physical, it's messy, and it's also takes a ton of skill. Hey David, this is a pretty cool process over here. So he's loaded a body into this crazy looking drill, and he's drilling the output jack
Oh no way.
in there. You can see he clamps it.
Oh yeah, dude.
You know, coming out of here, really what we have, we've done more sanding on the body, we've bound it, we've carved, all of those things. From there, we'll be ready to neck fit the guitar. We'll have a body, we'll have a neck, and we'll match those things over at neck fit. Over here, this is, we're getting into neck fit. So we've got bodies and necks starting to be matched. Obviously, we're gonna put a neck and a body, but this is where the guitar sort of gets an identity for the first time. It officially becomes a 1956 Les Paul, you know, 58 Carina V, or whatever it is. Yeah. In our system, we now have that guitar in production. They're gonna stick a body into a clamp, and if you come around here, you can kind of see he's getting ready to do, looks like a 335 probably. If you look at their benches, I mean, you know, animal hide glue, neck pitch gauges, some chisels, hammers, and hand tools, but that's it. Obviously want to get a neck that is seated nicely, looks nice around the fit, but they also had to get the neck pitch. So it's just really small adjustments with chisels. Take the neck out. You do a ton of test fitting and chiseling before you glue it and clamp it. He's gonna, you know, he's cleaning it up and making really small adjustments. And you know, the other element to neck fit is obviously, you know, all those things I mentioned, but we also neck pitch all of the guitars for whatever the specs are on the guitar. So like not all 1959 Les Pauls are equal because we have such a big part of our you know, business here is custom orders. So, you know, some people might take a guitar and put like a P90 and a humbucker or throw a Bigsby on it. Well, you got to account for that in neck pitch. So, you know, those pickups have very different adjustability and ride differently in the body. So they're going to neck pitch it for what it is.
That's cool. Very cool.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. So this looks like something that you, David A., have in your garage at home, but it's
I got 4 of these.
Yeah, it's serialization, right? So I keep harping on the amount of variation in here, and the managing that is the challenge, obviously. And it's in every element of the build. You know, all the different neck profiles, all the different shapes, all the different materials. But that includes serializing the guitar. We have changed how we serialize guitars throughout our history. Ink stamps, hard stamps, different formats. Well, we have to replicate that as well. If we're calling something a 1959 Les Paul, should have a 1959 proper historic serial number. So, you know, here's where we hard stamp a serial. This would be more of like a 60s serialization, but you can see pretty straightforward. It's a press. You pick your numbers out and, you know, press those, load them in here and press them into the back of the headstock. There's some numbers in there, actually, you can feel. Get mixed up and you hard stamp a 60 serial format in a 59.
Right.
You know, we're 2-3 weeks into the process at this point, and I don't want to talk about it, but it's, yeah, it's, you know, managing that all the time, that amount of variation from one guitar to the next, you know, training people to be able to work not just on a Les Paul, but all of the Les Pauls, all of the ES guitars, all of, you know, we got mandolins in here. We're working on our arch tops. At the end of the day, it really takes a lot of care about what you're doing, and that's what is so great about all the people in here, and what I love about custom as well is like, we're all a bunch of nerds, and we care about, you know, what serial format it should be.
Well, also
you know?
too, like if you have someone who's, you know, done all the work on the guitar, and you're the person that screws up the serial.
Yeah, it's like,
no!
So coming out of neck fit, you know, we did, like, that's kind of the only serial that we'll do in whitewood is a hard press. All of the other serials, because they're ink stamped, are done in finishing. But as we work through, it's come out of neck fit. What we're gonna do on this machine and all of these fixtures back here, he's cutting pickup route. So, you know, obviously, got to make sure you get the right pickup route. David wants something crazy, a Sopar and a humbucker combo in his Les Paul. We got to make sure we get it cut right. So we'll do that, and then just through here is just cleaning everything up. So mainly all of this is sanding. Right here on this press, they're installing stop bar bushings into the body, so you can see all the stop bar bushings. They're just pressed into the body. Over here, cleaning up. You know, we've got a little bit of fuzz that we're all cleaning. So he's got a dough roll sander that he'll work around the body on cleaning up. But sanding, pickup route. And then really coming out of here, we're going to pleck the guitar. Pretty much, I would think, an industry standard at this point. I don't know anybody building guitars that probably doesn't pleck it, but we'll pleck it, and then we're ready to put color on it. So we've got a built whitewood guitar, and we'll start the color process coming out of pleck. Back over there's pleck. You can see them, you know. We're plecking everywhere at this point. Come out of the pleck. We got a good guitar, good whitewood guitar. We've got, you know, our frets leveled. We've got string path cut in our nut.
Guys, right here?
Yeah, we're ready to put color on a guitar. So we've done some more sanding over here and color prep. In this room back here, it's all contained and enclosed, because aniline dye is highly invasive, right? It gets in the air, it gets in other guitars, gets on your clothing. So we contain all of our aniline dye in this room. We contain all of our guitars with aniline dye on bright red racks. But you know, most all of our guitars are some combination of different types of finishes. Unless an SG is kind of the only guitar where it's like all one finish. It's all aniline dye. It's a cherry SG. A Les Paul, the whole back is aniline dye. So the body is all, back is aniline dye, the back of the neck, but the top is gonna be a stain or a burst sprayed on or something like that. So two different combinations. On something like an ES guitar, you know, historically just the neck is aniline dye. So, you know, we gotta do the aniline dye neck, and then we gotta do stain or paint or whatever the body is. So this guitar, or a lot of these guitars, will go through multiple, not just colors, but like types of finish processes, from dyeing to staining to painting to, you know, scraping. All of it is, finishing is a pretty long road from beginning to end. The aniline dye, I mean, this is another custom shop thing that I just absolutely love. It's not production friendly, completely backwards in the sense of like trying to make multiple guitars a day. But the result, man, like the way an aniline dyed piece of mahogany looks, the depth of the grain and the way it ages over time. You can't do that by spraying toner, a red toner over mahogany. You can't get that effect. So I love that we do it, but it also is, I can't stress enough how much it is incredibly difficult. You kind of see the aniline dye process in there. Coming out of here, we're gonna have guitars that have gone through on the back side over there, color fill, sanding, all of that. So grain filler, all of that has gone on. And then we've also started to do things like stain. You know, so this guitar had a walnut back filler. You can see the back of it is like a dark brown. And then it had a stain put on the top for this quilt top. And then it will go into finishing, and it looks like it's ready for scuff sand. So it came back out here.
Like Hawaiian ice burst, we gotta remember that. That's cool. That one's probably gonna come out looking cool.
So we've put aniline dye on the guitar, we've stained it. Now it's starting to actually come into like finishing more officially. One of the first things that we're gonna need to do is get our headstock face painted. So usually it's gonna be black, but we do like, you know, matching headstocks if people want it. We've got these different, just little pieces of material that are basically what we're going to use to, this isn't really a head veneer, but I'm kind of giving you the concept. We would put that over to paint it black to mask off the Pearl Gibson logo. We'll have the same for like the you know, pineapple and the headstock. So we'll put that over it whenever we spray the black to kind of mask it off. You still have to scrape to clean it up on the Pearl, but that way you're not like digging into the Pearl trying to get the paint off of it. So we will mask that off, paint our headstock black or whatever color it's gonna be, and then we'll just go straight into the booth. You know, we'll go, depending on what it is, we'll go with a metallic booth, a white booth. We separate kind of depending on what it is, because all the different types of finishing have different challenges. Like something that's like a metallic flake, kind kind of like aniline dye, it can contaminate everything. So we separate that into its own booth. Whites or pastel colors that are susceptible to contamination, or they'll be painted in their own booth. But we've got booths down here, and then we've also got booths upstairs. And so we'll go into all the various booths, paint the color on, and coming out of paint. So like these guitars are a good example of what a guitar would look like coming out of paint. So this guitar is just black, right? You can't really tell what it is. You know it's a Les Paul. You can probably guess that this bad boy right here is a Les Paul Custom because of the head veneer. But everything's painted over. All that binding that we spent time working on, we just paint over it. And we've got to remove that paint before we put lacquer on to reveal all that beautiful binding. So over here, we will scrape all of the paint off of the binding.
I've met you before, I think.
Legend.
Yeah.
Absolute legend.
Tell me your name again.
Marsha.
David. Nice to
Hi,
meet you,
David.
Marcia.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, Marcia is absolute champion, but you can see she's been working on this thing. She's scraped the top of the Les Paul.
Just put my finger guides back.
She put her fingers back on, but one of the coolest guitars to see scraped is actually a Les Paul Custom that's black, because it's like
I've already
it's just,
done the top and the back.
yeah, it's just kind of like this black silhouette, and then as you start revealing that like tuxedo binding,
Yeah.
it starts to come to life as a Les Paul Custom. But you can see Marsha's tools here too. I mean, just absolute prison shanks, basically. These are pieces of metal stock that she's shaped for various parts of the scraping process. And she's gonna, by hand, pull all that paint off the binding. You know, on something like a Les Paul Custom, you got the top, you got the sides, you got the back, you got all the way up the neck, you got all the way around the headstock. Tedious and skillful work, to say the least. I would absolutely butcher this guitar right now if I were doing it.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. That's so cool.
I've been doing this about 45 years.
45 years. Wow. All right, get that camera on me real quick. This is what you paid for. This is what you're paying for. All right. If you try to build a violin at that level of an instrument, you're going to spend 5 figures minimum, 20, 30, 40, whatever. I mean, the amount of handwork that goes into these instruments is next level. I mean, it's beyond. And I love that you guys like keep the history of how this has always been done.
I've always loved the job.
Yeah.
Loved doing it.
It's so cool.
It is to me too.
Oh, that's neat. That's real
And I
neat.
love the challenge of picking one up and doing it. So it's good for me.
Yeah.
Marsha, we love you. That's
Oh, thank you.
amazing part of the process, though, of finishing.
Let me show you the neck.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
So she's just got a hunk of wood there, and she's using it as a guide. It's always funny to me, like the tools too that you know, everybody develops for themselves, what works for them. We have some that are kind of universal, but others are just like, oh, I'm gonna use this thing because I like it.
Wow. So Marcia, how many guitars are you doing a day, do you think?
Usually around 15, 14, 15.
Wow, that is a lot.
Sometimes we do more if somebody's out, but other
Yeah.
than that, we do about 14 or 15.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and that's like another thing with the mix and sort of how we have to manage how we schedule everything
Right.
to try and you know, we have like constrained areas like scraping. You know, we can't try to get 30 through. There's no way to do that. So
See, the customs are easier for hand sanding, so they want to do that.
Yeah.
But they take longer for us, so we can't have all double bounds come over here because we can't get our count here today.
yeah.
So
And it's not like you can kind of do this right. You
No.
can't kind of. I kind of did okay today.
Yeah,
I
right.
kind of got it right.
because
Kind
the
of.
customer's going to see
That's
that
right.
we kind of did it.
Yeah, that's right.
When it should be we know how to do it.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah. And all the scrapers over here now are all qualified, and they all know what they're doing, so they can do anything that's brought in over here.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Marsha, thanks for sharing
Thank
it.
you, Marcia.
I appreciate
Thank you
you.
so much. Good to see you again.
So obviously we scrape all the everything off the binding and inlays. But back here is serialization. So on that table there, we're just gonna ink stamp, you know, serialize. We have a bunch of different formats. If you look, sort of all the different stamps by year, you know, 54, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 55 probably. Some of the other formats, and then we got buckets down here full of different formats, but you can see where he'll sort of do his test stamp to make sure he's got you know, the ink sorted out on there, and then he'll stamp the guitar. But a lot of different formats, and we'll also do like any kind of like a water slide decal. Some of our modern stuff has like a Gibson Custom Shop logo decal,
Right,
so he'll do that as well.
Yeah.
So we've painted it, scraped it, serialized, and we're ready for lacquer. And you know, I should probably talk about Murphy Lab because that's a big part of this as well. This is where Murphy Lab also takes off. We painted it, scraped it, all of that. It goes into lacquer, and on the left side over here, we can walk over here. We got basically like two lacquer processes: base coat on the left side, top coat on the right side. Usually like 3 or 4 coats of lacquer. You got scuff sand between each one. And then top coat. Lacquer's an incredibly long process because of all of that drying, scuff sand, another coat, drying, scuff sand, another coat. And you got to build the lacquer up slowly, very thin coats to build it up. Lacquer usually takes 10 days probably to get a guitar through lacquer. So finishing in itself from beginning to end is a very long process for us. And then that's not even including Murphy Lab, where we have to, you know, send it into the lab to get maybe painted, aged. They do all their rolling on the binding and all of that in the aging process. They also spray their own lacquer on the guitar.
That's right, because now the Murphy Lab treatment, they're presented with the guitar up until lacquer, and then it's gonna get its own Murphy.
Yeah, unless it's like a Murphy Lab painted. For the most part, yeah, that's a fair summary. The guitar it's built all the way up to finishing, and then at finishing is where it takes off, goes Murphy Lab. They'll do all of their stuff. They'll spray their lacquer. They'll do all their aging, all of that, and then it will go into the dry queue with everything else. It will go through buffing. Most of them don't really get a buffing because they're aged. They're not getting a shine, right? But they'll go through a buffing process and everything post-dry queue together. And then in final assembly, they have their own processes there. We'll pick those up when we get there. But here's where the employees enter the Murphy Lab. So, you know, Rob's going in there. Give you a little sneak peek. But yeah, it's basically just a bunch of benches and a lacquer booth and a paint booth. And of course the man himself, old Tom. We'll walk all the way around to where it comes out of finishing. Coming through here, this is buffing. You can see the buffing dance going on there, all the different shapes, all the different levels of buffing as well when you throw in like Murphy Lab and all of that. But the key with you know, buffing nitro for us is the red wheel process. It's a pretty abrasive buffing compound, and you know, the goal is actually to like heat up the lacquer and start to move it. You're smoothing out the orange peel, and so you're kind of like playing with fire on the red wheel. So it's kind of the hardest part of the buffing process to master. It's really you get feel and kind of know how much is too much in terms of pressure and all of that. But you know, that's usually where things can kind of go sideways. You build up too much heat, you burn through the lacquer, you burn into the paint, something like that. But you're building up the heat there, cooling it down, and then you go into like a yellow wheel, which is less abrasive. You're getting more polishy, and then by the time you get to like a white wheel, something like this is like, you know, buffing a car. You're bringing up the shine. So this is going to be for like a gloss finish. You gotta lay it down, so you're almost like painting the lacquer back. You're brushing it smooth, but you're doing that with heat and pressure.
Yeah, a ton of talent to do that.
We come out. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. So we come out. No, man. I appreciate it. I didn't want to step on your toes, so I appreciate you calling it out. But we'll come out of buffing. We're gonna go through, you know, we go through multiple inspection points, but this one is essentially a finishing and buffing. This is like signing off on the finish of the guitar, right? So everything. He's looking at the buffing job, the lacquer job, the paint job,
So
the
all these-
scraping, all of them, yeah.
He's gonna go through all of these.
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
yep. So as they flow out, they come in into an inspection station. And then they sort of start to go into different directions. But over here's the Murphy Lab aging area. You know, coming over here, you know, this is a pretty light age pickup cover. But coming over from pickup shop, this is a custom bucker. So it will basically be wound pickup on bobbins and a base plate. But there's no, oh, there you go. Thanks, man. So it comes over from our pickup shop like this, and so he'll go ahead and install the slugs, and then he'll also install the covers. The slugs are aged depending on whatever. The covers are obviously aged. So he'll finish kind of building out the pickup depending on what it is or what it's gonna get. He'll sort of make a set for whoever. Some people might like, you know, cover on one pickup, cover off the other, whatever it is. But our pickup shop winds it. We'll finish it out to whatever spec it needs to be. Let me give you that back.
Yeah, and that's a big thing to mention too. All the pickups are made here.
Yeah.
Made-
We need to get you over to pickup shop at some point and have Jared or someone over there walk you through our pickup winding process. It's super cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
like you forget about that. You're building the guitar. You go through all these processes, and everything is made here,
yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, even like our wood mill behind our USA plant where
Yeah.
we're processing stock, we're not taking wood from a log to a neck stock, but we're taking it from a giant chunk of wood and cutting it down, you know, to a piece of stock that we use at the shop. But all of it's right here within, you know, a 2-mile radius here in Nashville. First thing before we go into like starting to build the guitar out and finish it out is we've got to silk screen our headstock. So in this case, Les Paul. You can see the Les Paul model in there. You're gonna put your headstock in there. You're gonna put your paint on there, and you're gonna screen the logo on.
Hey, you know what though? I have tried this years and years, like in, I don't know, 2017. It is not easy.
Yeah,
It
I mean, you
looks
can
like
definitely mess it up. It's
I messed up so many.
yeah, it's
It is not easy.
and you know, it's kind of one of those other things too, where like people, you know, understandably will look at just that Les Paul model logo. It's iconic to Gibson headstock, and yeah, oh, it's a decal or something, but it's, you know, it's silk screened on by hand. Yeah.
Made by humans. They're not, you know, they're not just pumped out by machine.
Yeah. I gotta say, Colin back here, biggest NASCAR fan you've ever seen, and
Yeah.
particularly,
Let's go.
we live by the motto that we raise hell, we praise Dale every day before we silk screen a Les Paul. But he's turned me on to some documentaries, like the documentary about Dale Earnhardt, and I texted him. You know, I've got kids. We always
Yeah.
talk about little kids, and so I don't get to watch whatever I want most of the time. And but he was like, "Oh, you need to watch the Dale Earnhardt documentary," you know. I'm like, "All right, man." And I texted him that night with like tears running down my face. I was like, "It's amazing," but
You're like, bro.
yeah, it's like there's a lot going on there. But everything ready to start like building out the guitar. And so over here is final neck prep, and it is the most critical neck prep.
Dude.
All right, you big dog. So what we're gonna do is give the guitar the final fingerboard, the fingerboard that, you know, the artist will see, the player will see, the store will see, wherever the guitar is going. So it's critical that we get, you know, all the binding cleaned up, all of any residual lacquer that got underneath the tape whenever we were going through finishing, beveling all the fret ends, putting a little binding roll in this edge as well, keep continuing that nice feel on the neck. And then this would be the first place also where that piece of wood, whether it's rosewood or ebony, will have ever gotten conditioned, you know? So we'll oil the fingerboard and do all of the neck prep work. This is where we start to build it out, you know? So over here, we're starting to put tuners on. We got some, you know, jigs to just knock out some pilot holes for the screws for tuners. bushings and all that, but tuners are going on. Continuing through, so we're adding components all along the way. We're wiring up the CPA and controls in there, installing knobs, stop bars, all of it, and then we're working towards getting the thing strung up. You know, that's ultimately where we're headed. We got pickups in this bad boy. We got our, you know, some of our plastics coming on, true historic knobs, all that, and then back over here. Another legend that we brought from Memphis, Doug over here. So he's an adjuster, been doing it for a long time. Hell of an adjuster.
A little over a decade, I guess.
And you know, he'll string it up and intonate, adjust the truss rod, do all of the setup work, and then you know, play test it and make sure that it is a sound Gibson Les Paul Access in this case. What a crazy cool finish. But
I love this guitar, by the way.
yeah,
They're cool.
Really versatile.
mm-hmm.
Yes. Easy to play.
It continues, obviously. A lot of work going into building our guitars. Of course, we got all these guitars with 3 pickups and, you know, Bigsby's and all this stuff to put on. And then ultimately it comes into final assembly. Rare bird, if I do say so myself.
Nice.
So kind of ironic that we came up here, Firebird 5 in this case. And you know, you can see that neck through stock. You can see the multi-piece neck on there that's going all the way through the body.
Yeah.
They've put the wing blocks on, built it out.
That guitar started off this tall, and that piece of wood started off this
Yeah.
tall.
Totally.
Wow.
Oh, this
No
one's
one's
cool,
gonna look at
man.
a Firebird the same. So, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Dustin.
David. It's good to see you, brother. It's good to see you.
Dustin is a very, very good friend of ours. We've known Dustin since Memphis days. So
Yeah.
back when Gibson was in Memphis and was building most of all the hollow bodies.
Yeah, ES stuff, and known the crew at CME for over 10 years now, including you, and you guys are some of the best, man. Absolutely, so proud that you represent Custom Shop and are out there helping tell our story and all of that. And
Well, I think it's for me. I think it's an important story because with so much that is, you know, mass produced and so much that is automated, and this is almost the analog version of life.
Yeah.
You know? And it all starts in this room. Like we were here yesterday. I mean, if you look at that wood there, that's probably not ours, but it all starts with wood.
That's a new stack because you absolutely decimated what was in here. So,
But it starts there, you know, and we pick the wood, and then as you all saw, it goes through its process. So it's so cool. This is why I try to preach the gospel of Gibson, because there's so much handwork, and to be, you know, as consistent as you are with so many humans doing things by hand.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to accomplish. So yeah, it's good stuff. I'm trying to figure out a way to end this video, and I'm not sure how, so I'm going to say thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. There you go.
all right, man. Cool.
Awesome, dude.